Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of GeekVerse Podcast. I am one of your hosts, a Jedi, Taylor Field, and I'm joined by.
I am the not even tired, Kirkland Badzer.
Yes, we are here as we continue our trek through a galaxy far, far away. We are reviewing episode 3 of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. We will start off with our non-spoilers thoughts and get into our spoilers after that. But before we get into all of that content, you can find us with Internet Connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter. GeekVerse is our Facebook. Thank you, especially to our Patreon producers. Go check out the Patreon, first of all, because Patreon, you get ad-free exclusive early content available there. But as I was saying, Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Jack Grant, Mud, Sam, Superbad Mike, God Loves Me, 69, Jeremy Renner. You folks are fantastic. Love you all. Keep the lights on. Oh, we just did a newscast. Go check that out. That is on the public feeds Thursday, I believe. I have direct orders from the commissioner to space it out so that you guys can enjoy this on the feeds.
But
we
not
also
for
have.
patrons. That's why you go
What's
join
that?
Patreon. But not for patrons.
Oh
That's
yeah,
why you
not for
go join
Patreon. So
Patreon.
you get it. You get it right away. It's perfect. No side quests this week, but as Dylan said on our newscast, you get 2 side quests last week, 2 side quests this upcoming week. We have also our Craven the Hunter review, our War of the Rohirrim, Lord of the Rings review coming end of this week. We have an After 9 this weekend. We have Creature
September
Commandos.
5. Don't forget September 5 review.
Oh, yes. Kirkland's first in a near decade review, solo review. Yeah, it's an absolute banger of an episode. Go check that out. That's on the feeds for everyone to indulge in. Anything else?
No, you got it. Oh, Dexter. Unless you.
Dexter.
Didn't say
Yes,
Dexter.
Dexter's
I keep
rolling
forgetting
around
about
this
that
month.
this Friday. It's crazy.
Is that? Oh, it's this Friday. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Be ready.
Everything's just coming to fruition. There's lots of stuff going down. So be sure to check out our feeds for all the latest and greatest details. But without further ado, Kirkland, what did you think, non-spoilers, thoughts of this episode?
Yeah. I feel like this show I I feel like I'm kind of finding it
Uh-oh.
hard to find words
Uh-oh.
to describe because it's not bad. Like it's not a super negative thing and it's not a super positive thing. It's just it is an enjoyable Star Wars adventure. I just don't think it's necessarily for what we're getting right now something that's really gripping me that well. Like it's not that long of an episode. Did you see the runtime? Like I imagine 22 minutes or something. Like not included in credits. Like it doesn't feel
About
that
that,
long.
yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it's a type of show that might have been better for me at least in the binge fashion because I do like stuff that is going on. It's just I think there's quite a few moments that aren't fully gripping me, so therefore I might just like I don't know naturally pull out the phone, kind of get distracted in other avenues. Check the GV Discord. Go check out GV Discord. But yeah, no, like there's just multiple moments like that for me. I felt that last week. I think last week felt a little bit different because of course we got the 2 episode release, so it felt a little bit longer. So therefore I was just more, I guess, engaged on over a longer period of time. Whereas I don't know, for a 22-minute episode, like probably I don't know 30% of it maybe I was like kind of like falling out of interest levels for it, but no, it's definitely not bad. I just don't think it's necessarily the show for me. But I'm still really liking the idea of this being a show that's released because it's not really like anything from other Star Wars content that we've gotten lately on like Disney Plus in the sense of like the Mandos. Haven't seen Ahsoka's, but I imagine it's something similar to that, where it's not really like an R-rated show by any means, but it's definitely more of a mature subject matter in comparison to like something like Clone Wars, maybe early seasons of Clone Wars, and just more kid-oriented shows. So it is nice to get this type of Star Wars content, and also in the vein of just maybe this is going to be the dawn of just us getting different target audience in the Star Wars vein, because Star Wars doesn't just have to be the same type of media content that we're consuming. Like not every single Star Wars thing has to feel like what we got from the Skywalker saga. And I'm including like all 9 movies because they are like for all audiences, but they definitely feel a certain way. And I don't know. I just feel like for this show, it's definitely targeted towards a younger audience. And yeah, no, it's not really a plus or sorry, it's not really a positive or a negative. It's just kind of how I'm vibing with the show right now. And I will say though, I think the show is really well made. Like it looks really good. It looks honestly better than some other things I've seen in live action Star Wars on the CGI side of things. All the space stuff I think looks really good. Of course, like the costumes and like across the board in these Disney Plus Star Wars shows, I think they really nail just the overall aesthetic, whether it's the outfits or just the terrain or buildings and stuff like that. Like they do a really good job with that. There's a couple things in this episode in particular that kind of reminded me of like the original trilogy with just some certain things that they're interacting with, and that made me smile. I just like really enjoyed that. So yeah, despite my like thoughts that I just gave about me not necessarily feeling like a target audience for this show, I am still enjoying aspects to it. I'm definitely not going to be tapering out on the review side. I am still hopeful that we'll be getting maybe a little bit more of a gripping thing going on. We got some questions revealed and answered in this episode that we were kind of speculating on last week, and I don't know. It definitely is still enough for me to, I guess, want more questions answered. So yeah, it's kind of a cryptic message, but overall, still thumbs up, still positive, and yeah, well made. I'm still liking the cast, and I guess something I will say is I am really liking Jude Law's inclusion in the show, and I think that he is really fantastic of just his charisma and bouncing off of the younger actors and actresses. So yeah, I think he like it could feel weird with certain like adult actors, just bouncing off of like some younger audiences. But I think Jude Law is really good at that type of role, and yeah, he's just very charismatic. So I think it's definitely a great casting, and yeah, those are my little thoughts on this little episode.
Well said. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I think overall the story for me is definitely hitting a couple roadblocks and trying to be kind of enticing enough. But that being said, what they kind of established in those first 2 episodes, a little bit of the backstory on the home planet and the characters and whatnot, it has created a bit of a pull for me. So when we get into this episode, there are certain things that are happening. Like, okay, I'm actually really digging this, and there's a few dynamics that have been established that are making me really wonder how things fit, and a couple interesting things that were kind of introduced here too. So I think if we keep going along this path, I'm really gonna like how unique this story is going to be, because it feels very different from what we're used to in Star Wars, and I really appreciate that. The attention to detail and the costumes, and yeah, the ships too, just the seeing the spaceports and stuff like that, it's awesome to kind of get that scale and that visual just dynamic. It's super awesome to see it, and I think that's with Star Wars. I mean, you got to really capitalize on something like that. But I think where we're at with these characters, some of them still really annoy the living daylights out of me, and I apologize. Yeah, I know they're child actors, but I can't do it. They're rough. I need the writing to get a little bit better, please. I have faith that it will, and that they'll improve, because they're developing characters too as they go through
Mm-hmm.
this adventure. They're going to get better and improve on, just like develop, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Not improve. That sounds harsh. They're going to develop into more like scoundrel, kind of like ragtag, like confident kind of characters, which I think is, that's what happens to the characters. They develop as they go through an adventure. And Jude Law is just he's fantastic. I love Jude Law, and SM33. Really liking that droid. He's just kind of cracking me up. He had some funny moments in this episode. So yeah, pardon me. I'm just like dying. My freaking throat is killing
Going
me here.
through it.
But oh,
Yeah, 2 casts will
we're
do that to you.
absolutely,
You
just
can
choking me up.
you need some blue milk. Are you gonna try it when you go to Galaxy's Edge? I veered away. I was never interested in the blue or green milk that they're selling in the Galaxy's Edge, but I
I
feel like
don't
you're
religiously
adventurous.
drink milk, but
Yeah,
I'm
me
more of like an
neither. That's the
almond milk
thing.
guy.
That's the thing. Like I never really drink a glass of milk. Like that's never been me throughout my life.
I think I have to though while I'm there, just to say
Yeah.
like I've tried it and like, oh yeah, I don't as long as it tastes like actual milk, I don't want it to taste kind of like gross or
I heard it's
anything.
good. So
Hmm.
that's like I don't know something, but they weren't getting my money. I was saving my money for the big turkey leg that you get in the
Well,
main pack.
if it's expensive and it's one or the other, I'm going turkey leg all day.
Yeah.
I've seen the photos and that thing looks
Oh
so
man.
good.
Yeah. No, gotta get the turkey leg. No turkey legs in the galaxies far far away though.
No, that's right. No turkeys there. Ooh, well, is that it for non spoilers? Should
That's
we?
it. Let's
All
get
right,
in there. Oh,
we're gonna.
actually,
Oh,
one last thing I'll say spoiler free. I feel like the score of this episode in particular really stood out. There's a couple of moments. Um, let's say Jude Law is talking to a certain character, and then it goes to like a space shot. And man, just like the uniqueness of the sound, I think they had like just a funky synth or something going. It felt really different from Star Wars, but still very sci-fi y. I don't know, cause like you can get just very used to like the classic Star Wars just orchestra and stuff. Like it just feels very Star Warsy. Whereas in this episode particularly, it felt very un-Star Wars like, but still Star Warsy. It just felt like a next evolution, maybe yeah, in the sound of Star Wars. So I really appreciate it. I wanted to shout that out, and it's not really a spoiler, so I figured I would mention it right now.
no, good call out. I completely agree. It has a very unique kind of tone to it, very mysterious, and it has many aspects that are very familiar with that Star Wars kind of score. But then it does a good job at kind of being its own thing, and I really do appreciate that. I'm really enjoying the music so far as well. But yeah, okay, we're gonna jump to our first ad break, and then we will break down some spoilers. So we'll be right back. And we are back. So where do you want to start?
Um, yeah. So let's start with Jude Law. He wasn't really in the show much up until now. And the big reveal when he was introduced is him showing some force powers, and you and I were pretty convinced he was not a Jedi by any means, but that's kind of how the show is set up, and I'm glad we're not like just wasting time of like, oh, is he a Jedi? Is he not? Like, I'm glad that's not like a reoccurring question throughout the whole season. He kind of it was kind of revealed pretty early on that no, he's not a Jedi. Um, and I like how, although the show is targeted towards a younger audience, they're not making the kids like just fucking idiots where they're like it's like annoying to follow, because like these are our main characters. It's nice to have somewhat of a intelligent crew to follow, and they're kids. I'm not expecting them to be geniuses, but they feel realistic. I think with just kind of their sussery when it comes to Jude Law's character,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of how that dynamic is unfolding, and kind of made a deal by the end of the episode that they're not partners. They're the boss. They're gonna be he's gonna be working for them, and I'm kind of excited to see how that dynamic's gonna just grow, I guess, and just evolve. And it's younger audience show. I'm definitely not expecting Jude Law to fucking massacre these kids and betray them all, but I don't know. I still think he got some ulterior motive and
Oh
some
yeah.
tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, I mean, the moment that they kind of set it foot into that owl alien's kind of like little workshop, Jude Law was
Mm-hmm.
just putting up a lot of red flags, and it was there were some spacing issues too, which I feel like maybe this episode was a bit rushed because you feel okay, things are aligned too well in that second episode with how the kids run into him and now he can use the force, he can get away, and he
Right.
just kind of sugarcoats like, well, I needed someone with a ship, otherwise I would have escaped sooner than rather than later. It's like, okay, I can buy that. But then he gets caught by, I'm not sure what the species was, but that one alien, while the alien's like praising him like, oh, you're such a great captain. And he's trying to push SM-33 out, and the guy's like, hey, I'm gonna have to call, I can't remember the wolf's name, but I'm gonna have to call the boss and report you to the guards, yada yada yada. And so you you cut the scene there and you don't really know what happens because next time you see him, he's just being chased. And I think, okay, this seems like it could be a decoy, and maybe he was allowed to escape because maybe he double crossed and made a deal.
Mm,
But then after that, he fucks up half the spaceport, and the wolf guys like put a bounty on his head. It's like, okay, so that's clearly not the case. They are definitely out to
yeah.
get him. So I would have liked to have seen an action shot, and I don't know why they're cutting that. Like, if we're focusing on Jude Law's character here, I'd like to see a little bit more of what he could do, but maybe they're trying to be apprehensive about what they show us with what he can do, especially with his force powers, because we saw him use the force again,
Mm-hmm.
and they addressed it like, hey, he could be doing all these different things to kind of maybe make things happen, but he also does say, yes, I'm not a Jedi. And it just goes hand in hand with, like, we talked about this before. There are lots of Force users out there that are not
Mm-hmm.
Jedi. And I think this would be a really great way and a good way to kind of bring into the fold that as an example. Because I think everyone kind of has this notion in their minds that when they see someone use the Force, oh, it's a Jedi. That's just an
Mm-hmm.
immediate connection. And I think right now at this point, everyone is a whim. Everyone's
Yeah.
looking at it like with whim, as whim's like, oh, you're a Jedi, you use the Force, and they have no other kind of conscious awareness that, I don't mean any shade with that. It's just like, what, you can be use the Force and not be a Jedi? What? Like, it's such
Yeah.
a archaic thing to think about.
And they're all just as annoying as Wim is. Yeah. No, Wim is a character. I don't know. I'm hoping he's a diamond in the rough, that he evolves into a beautiful butterfly, and I really enjoy the character. But as of right now, he's definitely not at the forefront of my interest levels.
You got his dad at the forefront of this episode,
Oh
though.
my gosh, yeah. The way that episode started, I'm like, please don't fucking give me like a half the episode just focusing on the parents and whatnot. But what was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna throw on, yeah. You know who's watching all these force sensitive users? This guy's watching Jude Law right
Oh
now. This
God, yeah.
Darth Plagueis in the cave, watching
In
him
the
count
cave.
cards, just like in the novel. But it wasn't even counting cards. Do you remember what like poker game it was? Was it like dice or something? It was it was some sort of gambling thing where he was
Pirates of the
using,
Caribbean dice.
yeah, pirates, yeah. 14 million fall.
Yeah. uh, I can't remember what the game was.
Yeah. But yeah, just bringing up Wim there and how not necessarily my favorite character in the show right now. And I will say, I feel like my favorite interest, like where I'm the most interested, is kind of the whole dynamic around Jude Law's character. So yeah, like pretty much the characters that are interacting with him the most are at the highest of my interest. KB, I believe, is her name, the young girl with just like the cybernetic thing all hooked up.
Yes.
I really like in this character. I think it's mostly just because I'm not really used to a character with that sort of tech, and I just kind of like how it's being used in the certain situations. And yeah, she's kind of the one that has the most dealing with of Jude Law, right? Like she interacts with him late at night, and he's basically saying that, like, yeah, no, you don't trust me. I'll basically just have to win you over, I guess. And yeah, that was the scene when that moment happens, and then it jumps to space, and like that just like really interesting score came in that I was loving. I was liking that track, but yeah, no, mostly KB, Fern. I guess all the kids kind of have some moments with him, but they're kind of the loudest and most bombastic, I guess. Other than
Yeah.
Wim, that's just fucking annoying.
I like Neil a lot. He's definitely growing on me.
Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah, I would have liked a little bit more with him kind of growing in this episode and just kind of like chatting up with everyone, but he just feels like he's doing whatever Wim asks him to do, which is like, why are you gonna be like that? Like, hopefully he grows out of it. But it was fun seeing Fern pulling the captain card with SM33, and even the fact that Jude Law went back to actually get SM33 kind of blew my mind a little bit. But no, I think when you have SM33 having that whole scene with Jude Law's character, and Crimson Jack is his name, and he's just like stealing and looting off of this dead body's corpse and looking around the ship, kind of scoping it out. And I think that's a lot of fun because he's in turn shows the kids a whole bunch of stuff about the ship that they didn't know, like using the guns and stuff like that, which we can talk more about it. I just got to highlight it now while it's on my mind. The fact that he threw these kids in the chair and I get it, he's a pirate, he's a scoundrel, but he's getting these kids to actually murder government officials in an actual established like government officers, New Republic fucking X-wing pilots, and they're the kids like I hit him, like yeah,
Yeah.
like let's kill these guys, like this is
That
serious
took me
jail
out.
time.
That took me out a little bit. Yeah, I was. It felt goofy in the sense where I feel like it brought down like the badassery of these X-wing fighters, right? Like there's such a cool image, and especially with just how it's set up in the original trilogy, it's just like these are like basically just like Top Gun, right? Like these are like badass fighter jet pilots, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're just getting marked by these kids. It felt like a Disney ride, honestly, with just like the kids on the guns, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's another aspect that just kind of pulled me out of it a little bit. I don't know, it didn't look the worst, but still, I was just taken out. I think because of what was happening and just who was affected by it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you see the X-wings actually opening fire at the ship at the start, but then I liked how they changed to their ion cannons and they were firing those. That was really cool to see. I had half a mind to expect Carson Teva to pop out of that one X-wing. He's our like reoccurring pilot and like
Mm,
Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and all these other shows. Even the Ahsoka show, I'm pretty sure too. He just pops
yeah.
up everywhere. So that's
Is
not
it
the
just
case.
because
We didn't get
the
him.
time frame, I guess? But
Yeah, because this is New Republic era,
yeah.
which they don't specify, which is interesting, and that's something that I was curious about because when we get that scene at the beginning with the parents, they're saying, "Okay, can the Republic help us?" Now, to me, the I'm trying to figure out, okay, like there's many different layers here that they're kind of covering. They're talking about the Republic, but they all have to go through the supervisor, who's like one person that's like overseeing everything and
Mm-hmm.
has control of the security droids and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm thinking, okay, these people on this planet obviously have no idea what's going on outside this barrier of their planet and what's going on outside the galaxy. They think the Republic still exists. They think Jedi are still a thing, all that kind of stuff. And we learn that's reinforced because this owl alien is telling the kids, like, oh, the war in Coruscant and Alderaan. As the kids are saying, we learned about those. And she's like, oh, Alderaan. And they're like, "What war?" And it's
Yeah.
just like, "Oof, that's crazy." Even Madison was like, "Alderaan," and I look at her and I'm just like, with my
Yeah.
fist. It's like, "Oh, right, right." So they have clearly no idea what happened, and I'm assuming no idea that this is a new Republic regime that has established itself post
Mm-hmm.
Galactic Civil War. So they're thinking Old Republic, hence the money, hence all that kind of stuff. And we learned too that okay, this planet, along with a few others, was actually created as a hiding precious planet to be kept secret. And then I'm assuming it was just missed or forgotten because when the Empire took over, I feel like the Empire hit the other ones and destroyed it or dismantled them or something
Yeah.
like that because they were implied that they were destroyed. And this at Atten was the last one that still stayed a secret.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the whole setup of that, it's just like the one that was hidden, that was obviously that we never discovered. That's why we never heard about this before. Most of the time that just seems kind of like eye rolly, like, okay, that's pretty convenient, right? That's just the situation that up unfolded. But for me, it actually didn't bother me too much. And I think it's to do with just the interesting concept of like a planet like this just being hidden away from the basically the whole war and just the effects of the empire taking over and just all of that stuff. It's just kind of a fun idea. So I and like although they were kind of hinting that it seems like all the others were destroyed, I like the idea more that there is more of these types of planets out there. Like you got to imagine with how big the galaxy is, like there's got to be other people out there that don't even really know about the empire and just all that stuff that happened. Whether it's I don't know, just more primitive species on whatever planets out there. Just I don't know. It's a big place, right? Not everybody knows about the whole galactic events that are going on. Um, but I can't remember how we started on that point.
Well, you made a great point because yeah, it's such a big place, big galaxy. When they're highlighting like, yeah, there's 10,000 planets that we've narrowed it down to, and there's so many different like routes and everything like that. And the more we've kind of gone into this new era of Disney Star Wars, I guess you could say, the more I've kind of seen hidden planets are becoming more of a frequent thing. Jedi Survivor, you're dealing with a hidden planet that the Empire can't get to, that the Jedi were able to get to. There's a Jedi temple on that planet. We learn that there's what else was there? Yeah, this planet, and I feel like there was another example. I guess the Chiss Ascendancy, that would kind of be another good example. Their whole network of systems is very hidden, and so they were observing the Empire, and that's when Thrawn kind of like made his move and joined up with them and so forth. So there's definitely a lot of planets that are out there hidden. The Empire had no idea about, the Old Republic had no idea about, and the New Republic, I just don't think they care. They're too busy with their
Yeah.
political collapsing system. I just see them as weak. Uh,
Like their parents.
weak, exactly, like the parents. I'm trying to think what else I have to add, though. I mean, it was just really cool to kind of get some revelations, and I was trying to look into uh, some stuff here because I know that there was a whole little exciting thing about Crimson Jack, but it looks like this version of Crimson Jack is kind of like replacing an older version that was already kind of established, I think, in like Walt Disney World's like uh their Galactic Star Cruiser. I think it's like their hotel thing. They created like a Crimson Jack character for that.
Oh,
Interesting.
interesting.
Hmm.
Hmm. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. Um, pretty much irrelevant, I guess, at this point. It doesn't really matter. But
I like it. Um, I really like seeing the Tattletale droids. I believe they're TT-8L/Y7, the Gatekeeper droids that, of course, famously appeared in Return of the Jedi. You know what I'm talking about? The
oh,
little,
yeah, I do.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It was just fun to see them and interacting with Jude Law's character, and I don't know, it's kind of funny because like up until this point, we still don't really know much about this guy, and then you just have these droids like Crimson Jack and saying all these things, and it very much Jude Law's demeanor makes it feel like he doesn't really want the kids to hear everything that these droids are saying. So, it was just a fun scene, and I like that sequence, and I just like seeing those droids because they're kind of funny and very classic to good old Return of the Jedi.
Did you catch that other B1 battle droid?
No, I didn't.
The prequel era droid, Jude Law. It was the third one he turned on, and he turned it on, and the droid was like, "Did we win?" And then it like collapsed and fell over.
Oh my gosh, yes. I definitely was distracted in that sequence. I remember hearing that line, but I wasn't like
Mhm.
looking at the screen, so that's
Mhm.
funny.
Yeah, that was a fun little nod.
Yeah. Um, the other another sequence that well, not really sequence, but something I found hilarious was when basically I can't remember who it was. What's her name? Fern. That's her name, right?
The captain.
Yeah, the captain. I like it when they're like, "Oh, you get some sleep." She's like, "Not even tired." Next, like, quick shot, her just completely passed out, and I don't know. I'm starting to feel a little sleepy myself, so I feel like I'm not far away from that fate. It was just a funny little quick cut, and yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I like that too. I
Beyond
can't
that,
think of anything
yeah,
else.
I kind of hit the main points. Theories for next week.
Oh, I'm looking forward to maybe seeing some bounty hunters. I mean, they're saying put a
Yep.
bounty on there. I'm not expecting like a Boba Fett, but I mean, maybe some other familiar faces
Please
that
no.
we know,
Get those
like
vineyards out of
Bosk.
here.
Put a Bosk in there. I'd love to see a
I'd like that.
Trandoshan. Dengar. I'd even take a
Bosk is the blue
Dengar.
guy, right, with the hat.
That's Cad Bane,
Oh,
which
Cad Bane.
that would be
Okay.
pretty cool. Bosk is the Trandoshan, like the lizard guy.
Oh, okay. Yep. Transdosion.
Trandoshan.
Transdosions.
And like I said, I'd take Dengar. He's got like the head like full like wrap around his like
Sounds so
mask kind of
familiar.
thing, body armor. Travis hates
Oh,
him.
dang.
He's got like a
What
Boston
about
accent in the
Hrothgar?
Clone Wars.
Rothgar Dang.
Rothgar, dang.
Look up this guy. He looks fucking badass.
Oh
Corellian bounty
my
hunter.
gosh. No, 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 no. This guy. What is this? He's definitely he's got to be a sequel trilogy guy. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker. He appeared in 2019 Rise of Skywalker.
That's
This
so
guy does
funny.
not look like a prequel or a original trilogy guy.
That's so funny. I like it.
Jeez Louise.
So yeah, I'll take Dengar. I'll take anyone.
Yeah. All right. Well, what about you? Do you have any predictions for next week?
I want to see some bounty hunters. I want to see some new faces, just some cool new design, characters with cool aesthetic. I imagine they won't live beyond, just like a nice little contained threat in the show. Just kind of a thorn in the side of our heroes here. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping for that, and it seems like that's kind of what's going to happen with the bounty being kind of put on Crimson Jack here from Wolfman, Werewolf by London, whatever we're calling him.
Well said. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we did it. That is it. Skeleton Crew episode 3. We will be back next week. Check out all of our feeds for new content, updates, yada, 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 so forth. And we look forward to seeing you next time. So we'll see you in the search bar.
May the force be with you.